In this session, we are going to discuss the education for sustainable development and the close relationship of it with the biosphere reserves and how ESD contributes also to the management of the biosphere reserves. From what we have said, education for sustainable development is actually the education through the design of which and the application of which we approach sustainable development. And it is very important to understand from the very beginning that ESD is a powerful, very powerful tool towards achieving sustainable development and towards the management of biosphere reserves. Exactly this is the idea, because the biosphere reserve from the very beginning was considered a place for, at that time we used to call compatible, soft, today we say sustainable development. We need therefore to reflect on what can ESD gain from being implemented within a biosphere reserve, or where the biosphere reserves are useful or necessary for the ESD. The other second question is what the biosphere reserve can gain from ESD and how ESD may help the management of the area. We have to understand from the beginning that we are talking about two dynamic concepts and systems. Both the biosphere reserve, the concepts behind its management, have evolved, particularly with introduction of sustainable development, but also education for sustainable development is constantly enriched, and we have to understand that we are talking about a very dynamic relationship. Fundamental for ESD in biosphere reserve is the fact that direct contact in nature and observation of nature, either in situ or in the laboratory, as in vivo or in vitro, were always considered substantial approaches for knowledge, for gaining direct knowledge. And we said already that there is self-interest, social understanding, but also the intrinsic value of environment, which is not possible to be developed without the contact with nature. And actually, in a biosphere reserve, we have education from the beginning as one of the main functions, one of the important services that can be actually developed in all three zones, even in the core zone. And the conservation, logistic support within ESD, and development require the support of knowledge coming through education for sustainable development. We stress here, as we said, that we are talking not only about even within the core, we are talking not only about the environment, but also about the society and the economy. And among the sustainable development approaches for the establishment of the biosphere reserve, which is the habitats protection, the conservation of species, the promotion of scientific research in general, conservation, education is one of the fundamental aspects for the establishment of an area and for its function. Recreational activities, production activities, and the rest are all there, but education is fundamental. what the recommendations could be for specific things of ESD in biosphere reserves and in World Heritage sites is that because they are ideal places to promote ESD and the Sustainable Development Goals, BRs, the Biosphere Reserve, are instrumental also in communicating the biodiversity 2030, on which we will devote another small intervention. But also it is very important that the educational component should be described in all management plans and should be given educational support and inputs, but also other support, even financial support, in the design of the educational initiatives within a biosphere reserve. We have seen this scheme before. Here in the biosphere reserves, we need to make it more relevant to the society. For example, when we are talking about society, we need to take into account the local characteristics and the involvement of the community in initiatives, in ESD initiatives. When we are talking about economy, again, the opportunities for blue-green growth potential of the biosphere reserves, the products and services, and also the specific characteristics of the environment in a particular ESD program, particular biodiversity, particular species, but also in the tools we can elaborate, we can understand better through ESD the management tools, the body, the governance, the local authorities, the universities, the schools that are involved in the management of the area. We can include activities of cultural interest for the biosphere reserve related to its intangible or tangible heritage, its monuments, its different music, gastronomy of the area. And of course, with the science and technology, we need to bring our skills for transdisciplinary approaches with technology that could help with clean energy and whatever that is absolutely necessary for the area. What is also important is that through the ESD, we can approach also other targeted types of education. We mentioned about environmental education, but we are also talking about development education, global citizenship, education for peace and human rights. All these are under the general umbrella of education for sustainable development that may be particularly relevant for a specific biosphere reserve. Also from the key themes of sustainable development, starting from poverty, everything is covered under the SDGs. So we may pick the particular SDG or the particular key theme that are more relevant for the specific biosphere reserve. And of course, each biosphere reserve usually has successes and difficulties, challenges, failures. Both are important to be, through education for sustainable development, analyzed and become understood by not only students, but through non-formal and informal education by different sectors of the society. Since both ESD and biosphere reserves management require multi and interdisciplinary approaches, it is very important that these are part of the empowerment the inspiration of the people, those who live in the area, those who are around the area, and of the visitors that will visit the area. So we are talking about three major groups that all are beneficiaries of ESD. The educators, of course, and their students, but also the managers, because we support their work by understanding in the vicinity, but also throughout the society, the importance of the site and of the management, and of course the local communities, because in this way they can promote their own activities, including economic activities like tourism, like quality products, and so on and so forth. In fact, we need a capacity building. What we are doing is part of it. This book that has been co-produced by UNEP Office for Science and Technology in Europe, in Venice, and the MAB Secretariat and MIO, the Mediterranean Information Office for Environment, Culture and Sustainable Development, but also the University of Athens and my chair, helps a lot for that. Also, the book that we are going to discuss under management is also for the integrative methodological framework, is also very helpful in dealing with proper use of education for management. Particular goals of education programs may be to highlight the specific natural and socioeconomic cultural characteristics. These are themes of projects that can be developed there, highlight local issues and opportunities of development, modes for encouragement of local people on how better to preserve and manage the area, how visitors could better contribute in sustainable development in an area, obtain how we can take with us or stimulate the creation and of good memories and feelings that we take with us as visitors, or stimulation and enhancement of the tendency to expand either the area of biosphere reserve or to create new biosphere reserves. All these are important aspects of ESD in biosphere reserves. These are the summer universities where we have developed a lot of ESD on biosphere reserves. Thank you.